Thank you, Rabbi Ruskay. Thank you, Rabbi Cohen, as well. Yishar Koach. And thank you to my Chavruta Bennett Decker for leading us in Mincha. Thank you to many of you all of you for being here today in person and, of course, on Zoom. Welcome and thank you. It is 2 years ago, and I'm sitting in a classroom at Machon Schechter during my year of study in Jerusalem. We have just had a difficult conversation. The war has been raging on. Tumult and strife are abounding in the world. And so, as a way to seek comfort, one of my Israeli colleagues organizes us to sing Naomi Shemer's Lu Yehi. A few of my classmates from that very room are also joining here in the back as well. We reached the line, Im nafshecha lamut shoelet, mipricha umeasif, kol shenevakesh lu yehi. If when the messenger comes to inform you that your loved one has died, well, says the song, let it be. At that moment, though, in that classroom in Jerusalem, we did not need another minute or an excuse to say the word lamut, to die. And so instead, my teacher, Rabbi Chaya Rowan Baker, organized all of us to change the word lamut to lichyot, to live. And so just like that, with the snap of a finger, somehow we changed the circumstances for that brief moment from one of death to life. If only, though, life were that easy. I recognize that we cannot change the fate that is handed to us. We face personal challenges, emotional suffering, pain, and God forbid, loss. But for the next few moments, I would like to invite us to think about not how can we change that fate, but rather, how can we learn to live with it? You might say, how can we learn to live amidst a sea of challenge, of pain, or of loss in our world? Fortunately, though, the children of Israel in this week's parashah, B'Shalach, find themselves in front of a sea. It is a terrestrial sea, nonetheless, but it still provides us two key lessons for how we can learn to face our own sea of challenge that exists before us. And these two key lessons come from a mere 3 words in our parashah. 3 words arranged in certain orders are chock full of this meaning for us today. In Exodus 14:29, the Torah tells us that the children of Israel crossed the sea, bayabasha, betoch hayam. Their first step was onto dry land. They found a clear path to go. They were led with Moses step by step on dry land amidst toch hayam, the rumbling, tumbling waters around them as well. They had a clear path. And I honestly can't blame the children of Israel in this moment. Admittedly, it is easier to face the challenges in our lives and our world with a clear path before us. It takes less faith, less righteousness, or simply put, just less work. The 16th century Polish commentator Rabbi Shlomo Ephraim Lunchnitz, known simply as the Kli Yakar, says that these children of Israel were part of kitot al hayam, faction upon faction on the sea. So that is lesson number 1, that sometimes the challenges we are faced with do provide a clear path, a yabasha, a place of dry land on which to step one after the other amidst the sea. But I also recognize that we do not always have a choice. We do not always have a metaphorical arc on which to climb or a space of dry land in our world or our lives on which to step. And so that brings us to the second group of the children of Israel in our parashah. Just a few verses afterward, the same three words are rearranged in a different order, and the Torah says that these children of Israel crossed the sea, betoch hayam, bayabasha. Their first step was into the tumbling waters themselves. They leaped right in. They did not see a space of dry ground, a place of stability around them, but they took a first step anyway. This is a method that the Kli Yakar says, Mikol makom ha'eminu b'Hashem uva'u el toch hayam ve'achar kach ra'u et hayabasha. Nonetheless, these children of Israel had faith in God. They took a first step into the sea and only afterward found dry ground on which to step. The Kli Yakar says it took faith. I agree with him. But I want to modify it today and say that the job of a rabbi enters at this very moment in these precise words of the Kli Yakar. The Kli Yakar says it takes faith. The job of a rabbi, I say, is to help somebody access their own spiritual resources to cross the sea themselves. My teacher, Dr. Walter Hertzberg, commented to me once that these children of Israel needed to develop the faith themselves in order to then take a leap of faith as well. And precisely here is where the job of a rabbi enters. And so when I asked us a few minutes ago, how do we cross the sea of challenge of our own lives and try to reach dry land? Well, my friends, the answer is actually nothing new. As a rabbi to be, God willing, among the present company of rabbis and digital company as well, I don't believe that rabbis have any better answer to navigate the tumbling sea than you do. Nor do I believe that rabbis have a particular answer to where that dry ground is to be found. The job of the rabbi, then, is to help you, as the Kli Yakar says, believe in God, or another source of spiritual sustenance to cross the sea yourself. When we let rabbis into our lives this way, we allow the second half of the verse to become true, Ve'hamayim lahem choma miminam umismolam, that the waters around us should become like a wall on either side for protection. The Midrash teaches we should read this verse as choma, as a wall of protection, not as chema, as anger or fear or pain around us. It is a rabbi's job to help us feel a sense of choma, of protection, of a wall around us, not of fear, hopefully, or anger or pain. Over the last 5 years, when I have stood at the graveside with a family burying their loved one on a muddy afternoon, perhaps quite literally, my job was to help this family find dry ground, but also spiritually. I understood my job as helping a family find the space of dry land as comfort in the midst of their loss. Serving as a chaplain at Camp Yofi of Ramat Darom, I understood my role as helping the parents of children with autism navigate the tumultuous world around us that is unfortunately so often unaccommodating or, God forbid, hostile to their children. And finally, as a rabbinic intern at Columbia Barnard Hillel, also among present company in the back there as well, I understood my role as helping students navigate the sea of religious pluralism that exists on a college campus to find their own sense of identity or dry ground themselves. When in the last hour we commemorated the life of my teacher, Rabbi Eliezer Diamond, Zichrono Livracha, I recognize that he helped me navigate the seas of Talmud, Halakha, and faith. And in his passing, Rabbi Diamond also taught us of the need for clergy to be there with each other, to support each other. My family also laid to rest my beloved grandmother, Esther Zichrona Livracha, less than 2 weeks ago. And she, as somebody who's teaching of Torah and Yiddishkeit, I can now carry forward to help others cross their own sea on their own Jewish journey of faith. And she is also somebody in whose passing my family and I have learned very closely of the need for the rabbi and the chaplain to show up in the emergency room or the graveside. It is the legacy of my family, my dear friends, my esteemed teachers over 9 years of study at this very institution that have allowed me to cross my own sea of rabbinical school, to now stand on the cusp, or perhaps better put, the shore of rabbinic ordination so very soon. I pray that my next community allows me as well to show this strength, to give to others, to help them cross their own seas, not knowing precisely where dry ground is to be found, but to be with them betoch hayam, into the sea, to then find a space of dry ground. And so back to that afternoon at Schechter 2 years ago in Jerusalem. I believe we will still continue to sing the word lamut, to die, in the songs that we love. I cannot change that fate. But I pray that as a rabbi, I develop the strength to help others cross their own sea and live with the challenges placed before them. Yehi ratzon milfanecha, Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu, may it be your will, O God, that I find the strength to help people cross their own sea, and may we as rabbis develop the strength to do so. Please rise for Kaddish D'Rabbanan. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei Rabbah ve'almad divrah kirutei ve'amlik malchutei v'chayechon u'vyomechon u'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael v'agalat u'bizman kariv v'imru amen ye'ei shemei Rabbah v'olam l'mel hayah yiparach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah Ve'elah mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Al Yisrael ve'al Rabbanan ve'al Tamidehon ve'al kol Tamidehon ve'al kol man de'oskin be'oraita di ve'atra hadin v'di v'chol atar ve'atar Yehei lechon ulechon shlama rabba china v'chista v'rachamin v'chayin arifin u'mizona revicha u'forkona mi kodam avuhon di bishmaya v'imru Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Thank you. Simon Tava, Mazel Tava, Simon Tava, Simon Tava, Mazel Tava, Mazel Tava, Simon Tava, Simon Tava, Mazel Tava, Mazel Tava, Simon Tava, yeah.